Hello and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are Isaiah 8 and 9. Now, behind me is Sea Point. I've lived here for the last year. It's been a most magnificent place. Look at it. Here's the beach. That's going down to Camps Bay. There across there is Robben Island. It's where I've been paddling in my canoe for the last little while. But today marks the day where I move. We're moving across the bay, across to that side of Cape Town, which is Milnerton. It's both bitter and sweet, having to move, but also to see a new land. Now in Isaiah 8, and at the beginning of 9, there's an impending move happening, but it's not a sweet one. God has been promising a judgment is coming. The Babylonians are coming because the people of Israel have turned their back on God. But both these chapters talk about this impending, very imminent invasion of Babylon. But they also talk about a redemption. Down into the future, there will be a rescue, a return to the land that God has called them to. And we'll read about that now. So the Lord said to Isaiah, take a large scroll and write on it in an ordinary pen so that everybody can understand it. Maher Shalal Hashbaz. That's a bit of a mouthful. And literally it means speed to the spoil, hurry to the plunder. He's basically saying, go and with your wife, plan to have a child, and they have a birth of a baby. His wife is called the prophetess, so he sleeps with his wife and they have this baby. And they call their child, speed to the spoil, hurry to the plunder. And God says to him, this kid's not going to say mama or dada before you carry it off into Babylon, because the people have rejected God. And so God says to them in verse 6, because the people have rejected gently flowing waters of Shiloah, which are the streams that fed Jerusalem, they're going to have a mighty flood coming in from the Euphrates. The Babylonians are coming. They're going to flood its banks. And then he says, verse 12, don't call everything conspiracy that people call conspiracy. Do not fear what they fear. Fear the Lord. And then he hints into the future, saying, he will bring to Israel and Judah a stone that causes people to stumble, a rock that makes them fall. Now we hear that in 1 Peter 2:8 referred to Jesus, isn't he? So even though you're getting carried off by the Babylonians, God is going to bring a stumbling block. A Messiah, Jesus, to restore things back to how he wants them to be. Now, chapter 9 says this, there will be a future where he will honor Galilee for the nations. Now, we know that Jesus spent most of his time in Galilee, didn't we? So there's a hint coming that from Galilee, there's going to be some hope. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land, the deep darkness, a light has dawned. You see, Judah, the northern territory, was the first to be carried off into slavery, and it is to them, they're Galileans, that a great light is going to come. He's talking about Jesus now. Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning. God's going to turn the tide. And then this is what he says, the most magnificent prophecy about Jesus. For unto us a child is born. Just picture this. Thousands of years before. To unto us a son is given. And the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And of his greatness and government and peace there will be no end. And he will reign on David's throne. And over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness. And from that time on and forever, the zeal of the Lord will accomplish this. This Babylonian invasion is going to teach you a lesson. But then there is going to come a king, a savior. Of his peace and of his government there will be no end. He will work in Galilee. He will come as a baby, which will be hugely surprising because a baby is so weak. Yet he comes in the shape of a man because God has a plan to redeem mankind. What a magnificent chapter. Trust you enjoy reading it.